When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, as always, week after week, Colleen Biggs. And this episode today I am actually really going to enjoy this one because a lot of women that I am around, they say, I hate social media. I actually had that belief at one point that I hated social media. And then my grandkids came along and it was like the way I could be in their life every single day. Even though they live 4 miles from me, people say, oh my gosh, Colleen, don't you see your grandkids every day? I'm like, are you kidding me? No, there's 12 of them and you don't get to see them every day in your everyday life. I'll just start there. You see them when you see them and their life is busy and they're in school. And so when their parents have them on Instagram or, which is one of my favorite social media channels, when they have them on social media, I'm able to see what they're doing with their homework or their life or their, if they're going to ninja class or dance or, whatever, if one of them walked that morning. So we get to see all this fun stuff. So I love that my children utilize it for that. But I've also stepped up and started utilizing social media a little bit more about being a thought leader. So Blair Kaplan Venables is here today, and we're going to be talking more about how are you able to be seen as a thought leader using social media marketing. So this is for all of you out there that say, oh, I hate doing reels. I hate doing social media. I hate stories. I hate blah, blah. I hate. Okay, we're going to turn that around for you today because Blair has created quite a splash. She has had several awards, has been noted by several top affiliates here in the country, and she's out of British Columbia. So this is really going to be a fun conversation today. But before we get to Blair, I do want to thank our sponsor of today's show, Animated Holiday Lights. At their company, they're dedicated to transforming spaces into extraordinary wonderlands through their expertly crafted permanent light installations. With a team of skilled professionals and a passion for spreading joy and cheer, they strive to create captivating light displays that leave a lasting impression, and you never need to climb a ladder again. Their lights can dance to music, any song, any color, any holiday. From residential homes to commercial properties, their permanent light installations are designed to enhance the beauty and festive spirit of any location. And they take pride in their attention to detail, using high quality materials and advanced techniques to create stunning visual experiences that surpass expectations. So join them on their magical journey as they bring the holiday spirit to life through their dancing permanent light installations. And you can explore their portfolio and see the transformative power of their work at animatedholidaylights.com. And I will tell you that I have these on my house. And I've had them on my house for many, many years, and we can't even get out of our driveway. There's cars everywhere, people everywhere, every night, pretty much between October to January. So it's a lovely thing to have. The neighbors enjoy it so, so much. And it's just a really fun thing to be celebrating the holidays with. And I don't have to decorate outside anymore. So I actually love it a ton. All right, let's get to Blair. Blair Kaplan is an expert in social media marketing and the CEO and founder of Blair Kaplan Communications, which is a British Columbia-based PR agency. She brings 15 years of experience to her clients, including global wellness, entertainment, and lifestyle brands. She's the creator of social media empowerment pillars. Ooh, I really want to get into that today. Has helped her customers grow their followers into tens of thousands in just 1 month. We're going to talk about how to do that. USA Today listed Blair as one of the top 10 conscious female leaders, and Yahoo listed Blair as the top 10 social media experts to watch. She's spoken on national stages, and her expertise has been featured in media outlets, including Forbes, CBC Radio, Entrepreneur, and Thrive Global. I'm just going to stop there and get right to Blair because I think we need to find out more about Blair and dive into what these pillars are and how you can gain tens and thousands of followers in just 1 month. Blair, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
No, it's really great to have you here. And, I've been doing these interviews now. We're well over 300 in the different podcasts I've been running and live radio shows. And I've been doing this since early 2019. And I've had some conversations around social media, but I really want to dive into the how-tos, the depth of social media today, because, Blair, you have really embraced it. Now, PR is many different things, and you've embraced social media. So talk to us a little bit about your PR agency, how it began, what's your love for PR, and then what all PR is included. A lot of people are very confused about what PR is exactly.
That's a great question. Okay.
Yeah.
So I went to school for public relations. So that's what I went to university for. At that time, social media marketing wasn't a thing. Like it just was popular Facebook amongst the American college network. It didn't come to Canada yet. I actually read the last summer before I finished university. I lived in Greece and I met all these Americans and they're like, get Facebook when you get home, we'll share photos. So like that. It wasn't like a business tool. It was like, let's share photos from backpacking.
It was a connection tool. That's exactly what it was back in the day.
And that's actually still what it is. So I went to school for public relations. I worked for a company called Lululemon Athletica. I helped open the store in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where I'm from. And then I moved to Edmonton, Alberta. Loved my job there. My job was kind of internal PR, planning events, managing the store, doing like going for coffee and to yoga. Like it was great. But eventually I made it to Vancouver where their head office was. And I wanted to move up in their head office, but the company went from private to public. And being a 23-year-old sort of fresh out of school, I knew that moving up would be a challenge. And I was done folding stretchy pants. 3.5 years is a long time to do that. And so in 2008, at the age of 23, at the beginning of the recession in one of the most expensive cities in the world, Vancouver, British Columbia, I left my job and I started my PR company. And I just knew I wanted to work for myself. I was doing remote work before I knew that was a term. I just knew I wanted to travel and be wherever my laptop was. Like my laptop would be wherever I was. And so simultaneously, I accidentally, but on purpose, but accidentally started a coupon company. And that's a story for another time. But I wanted free yoga because yoga was so expensive and I couldn't find a coupon. So I created this health and wellness coupon company. Needless to say, I very quickly met a lot of businesses. And I started networking and I would go to tons of networking events and I would sit down with people. And I was often one of the youngest people in the room. 23, most people aren't like building their businesses.
No,
and
they're not. I'm meeting more and more of them today. I'll tell you that. But yeah, that wasn't a thing. But I think
it wasn't a thing. And so I actually
kind of flipped it around too. So.
Yeah. So I would sit down with people. I meet people at events and then go for coffee and like lots of meetings. And always the conversation was, do you tell me about your PR business? Do you know how to use this thing called Facebook for marketing? Do you know how to use this thing called social media for PR? And did I? Well, there was no mentors. There were no courses. There were no instruction manuals. So I said yes, because I had to make money. And I took what I knew from public relations and applied it to the digital space. And so public relations is the planned effort to influence public opinion through responsible action supported by two-way communication. It's managing perceptions. It's building relationships. And that's what social media is. And so I created my own systems and processes for what needs to go into a social media strategy. And obviously over the years, as social media has evolved, it's been tweaked, but the key elements, the social media empowerment pillars are the main things that I've been building out. And I'm talking businesses were coming to me to help get them onto social media. And I'll never forget it. My first huge handful of clients were golf clients because I met someone who owned a golf company, and then their PR person was like, we need to get you on social media and then, hey, Blair, we have all these other golf brands. And so I was involved in taking some big brands onto social media in the golf space and beyond. And it was a really cool experience. And 15 years later, here I am.
That's really exciting. So I loved what you said when you sat down with them. They said, hey, do you know about this tool or how to do this? And you just said, yes. And you're like, you know what, if I don't know it, I'm going to figure it out, because that's what was part of what your PR company was. And by taking the advantage of where the need was of those that were around you, that's what I think is crucial here. There was a need. And instead of shoving down the throats of the people you sat with what your product was specifically, you were open to what the needs are. And then you're like, yes, I can do that, because you needed money, but you didn't come out and say, yep, I need the money, I'll take that. You just said, yes, absolutely. We can do that, right? My company can do that. So I love that you listen to the demand, because it's about supply and demand, right? You listen to the demand of what was happening around you. And then tell me how that's evolved. So you went from working with golf, a lot of golf companies and golf brands, and then who are the main brands you work with today? Are you working with small business owners, 2 or 10 million and above? Are you working with large corporations, solopreneurs? Who are your main list of client load, and what is the objective and outcome that those clients are looking for when they come to you?
Right. And like over 15 years, I've worked with every type of client in almost every industry, from government to entrepreneurs to multi-generational families. And I've added some elements to what I offer, including private coaching and group coaching in this space. So, because not everyone can afford to hire someone to do the work. So the coaching space is a beautiful opportunity for the person, the entrepreneur, the marketing expert to learn.
Yeah.
And the clients I work with today are generally entrepreneurs who aspire to be thought leaders. And my job is to make them business famous.
Yeah, I love that. They're aspiring to be thought leaders, and you make them business famous. So, and it's everyone that we have seen come on the scene through TikTok. Through Matt Rife is a great example, right? His was all TikTok. I don't know if any of you know him, but he's a comedian, and so he came from one video that he decided to put on. It went viral. And then all of his other videos he had in his, page had started going viral. And then now he's got a Netflix show and he travels all over and he's sold out. And he's like, this is the most insane thing. I've been doing this, grinding for 10 years and no one knew who I was. And because I hated social media, he said, but I was like, fine, I'll put this stupid video out there. And then people could now see that weren't going to his shows, because he was selling out 75 people in a room. Now he was reaching thousands and millions of people. Justin Bieber, same thing. I don't know if any of you remember how he came about, but he was a YouTube sensation, and he put a video, his mom put a video of him online singing, and then that took off. Right.
Yeah. So, and I think with what you're saying is great, but obviously such a small percentage of people make that video and they go viral and become this sensation and I tell my clients like that social media is a part of the puzzle. Social media is like your living portfolio of getting people into your world, like getting to build that like, know, and trust. It's not a place to sell your products. It's about a place to tell stories. And if you do make a video and it goes viral, then you get all these brand sponsorships, and then you get a, Netflix special. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that could be a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. But I think you need to know, like, what are your expert topics? What's the legacy you want to leave in this world? Like, why are you making, people's lives or businesses better? And then start telling those stories. Everything you've done in your life has led to this very moment. Let people in.
Yeah. That's it right there. That's the point that I wanted to make, because I can't tell you how many people have told me, oh, it only takes one video to go viral. So they're banking everything on that one video. And my play on it is you've got to be consistent. So should we maybe talk about consistency with social media or consistency with PR? Because this really just comes down to visibility. My biggest thing I've said on every stage I've ever been on, every event I've ever produced, is if you're not telling everybody about you, no one knows who you are.
Exactly. So when I show up on social media, okay, so let's maybe back up. Okay, I have TikTok. I mostly use TikTok as a search engine because I am a vintage millennial, and I read an article that Gen Z, mostly half of Gen Z uses TikTok as a search engine. And so when I heard that, in an effort to stay cool and relevant, which I still am, in case you don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if I'm cool or relevant.
You're cool and relevant because you're here today. That's
yeah. So anyways, I started using TikTok, and I have a social enterprise I started about resilience, and my sister and I started a TikTok called Griefy Gals. And when we're posting consistently, we're getting eyeballs. So anyways, I just want to say where I am. LinkedIn, I'm active on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, in and out of Threads, in and out of X. I'm not like a big fan of like what's happening on X. So I'm not everywhere. I'm not everywhere, but, and I don't think you need to be too. Okay. I just want to say that. And I think that. I know when I'm posting consistently, more eyes are on me because you're feeding the algorithm. I like to say F the algo, like, beep the algorithm. Post what you want when you want. Like right now, my plate is very full. My content comes last because I have a big client load right now. But in times where it's kind of been the famine of the feast and famine, I'll increase my posting. I'll increase my outreach. So it's like anything you do. You practice something, you want to master a cookie recipe, and you practice making this recipe week after week, you're going to master it. Mm-hmm. You want visibility. The more you show up, the better. And it doesn't mean you have to make 5 posts a day on Instagram. And showing up doesn't just mean posting. Mm-hmm. It means going in and engaging. Because for me, consistency is important, but what's even more important about social media is engagement. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's missing from most people's strategies, is going in and being a real person, commenting on people's posts, DMing people, responding to people in their stories, liking, following new accounts. And that is, yes, time consuming. And I know some of you might be like, oh, I don't want to do that. Guess what? You can hire someone to do all of that. Mm-hmm. But it's very important. I know some people who maybe only post a few times a week, but they're still on their social media. I like to call it lurking. But when you're there engaging, your content's still there. It doesn't disappear. But when you're there engaging in real time, that's bringing eyeballs to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you've made some pretty great points here. So public relations, which is PR, is really about a well-rounded plan of how you're going to be visible. And here's the thing that I've noticed with some individuals out there. I love to follow and am engaged with and enjoy the ones that are teaching me something, that are very consistent, that are saying the same things no matter where I see them. Don't you think it's confusing when you go to LinkedIn and then you see a person's profile and they say what they do, and then you go on Instagram and it's a little different, and then you go on Facebook and it's a little different over there, and you're like, what do you mean you're selling wellness stuff? I didn't even know you were in wellness.
Listen, that's confusing. And I'm not even going to beat around the bush. I get people sometimes at events who know me or like getting to know me, sometimes say, Blair, I'm confused. Like, what do you do? And that's because I'm a social media and publicity expert, but I'm also a grief and resilience expert. And so I had to make a big decision. And I'm actually in a very scary process of rebranding myself as a grief and resilience expert, because I've built a name for myself in the social media and publicity space. And I'm still going to have information on my personal website, blairkaplan.ca, about that. Yeah. Most of my business, and I'm saying, when I say most of my business, 95% of my business come from referrals. Yeah. So I decided to take that confusion away. And so for all of you listening, like, it's okay to do multiple things. It's just, how do you present it to the world? Mm-hmm. Right. So the bio that you read, that focus was my social media and PR work, but I'm recording a segment for a summit next week, and she has my grief and resilience bio. Got it. That makes sense. So it's about how to be strategic. And if you do multiple things, I think that's okay. You just need to make sure your message on how you deliver what you do is very clear.
Yeah. In the circles that you're playing in. So, you can also have 2 different company pages for Instagram as well, and be delivering 2 different things, and have a totally 2 different paths in people that are following you, and the type of demographics and avatars that are out there, for sure. Here's the other thing that I think is really interesting about what you're doing, Blair. I'm wondering, every one of us have a 20/80 in our company. And I'm just reading a book on this right now. And the 20/80 is the 20% of the things that you really love to do, which I'm assuming that's why you're rebranding and going this direction, because it's what you really love. You've been through, and we'll talk about that in a second, some grief in your life, and creating this for others that are going through it that maybe can't see through the light, and you're able to and guide them through that path. That's super important, right? Super important. But there's an 80/20 rule, and the 20% of what we love to do is really how you can 10x a company or, go after your dreams, but you have to let go of the other 80%. So there may become a time where you have to let go of the 80%, which was the PR company, the social media, when you just
and that's the goal
on the 20, right? So focusing on the 20 takes you in a totally different direction, but you have to want that, and you've got to be able to get to a place of no return. I call it burning all the boats, where you can't get back on the boat and leave the island. You've got to win. That's a Napoleon Hill excerpt from his book. But we've got to give up the other 80 to go after the 20 if we want the 20 to really work. Because when you're straddling both, you will always remain in the same place, and you'll never make that big of a splash like you did in what you really enjoy doing in PR, and why it grew so fast, because you embraced the 20 and went after that. And that's how it multiplied.
And it's okay, because your 80/20 is always going to be shifting. Like, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I'll probably always have an element where I'm either speaking or coaching, and maybe that switches to be a little bit like fraction of what I do. But I have a vision of, I don't know when, but moving into a space of retirement. And this isn't in the next year or two. Like, I'm 38. Listen, I never thought I'd be a 38-year-old sober, childless, parentless bird watcher living in the middle of British Columbia in like semi-desert Kamloops. My life took some turns. And with that and the social enterprise I've built, I just really see that my life's work is to turn my pain into purpose. And I've helped a lot of people build their strategies, become thought leaders, grow their businesses. And I could still do that, but I could be of more service to humanity with my social enterprise. And it doesn't mean I can't do both. It's about where do I focus and, how much of my time.
Yeah, that's absolutely
And I think that's okay too. Like, you don't have to stay doing what you don't like. And if there are things you have to do, like, it's really hard to run two things. So I hire people.
It's about the who's, right? Hiring the who's, not trying to figure out the hows. So tell us a little bit about your background, if you don't mind. How did you become this bird watcher?
Oh my God. Okay. So
in Kamloops, British Columbia.
Yeah. So I'm the daughter of a man who lived with addiction. We had a bumpy relationship, child of divorce. I'm giving you the very high level, but if anyone dives into who I am, you'll see the story. But we fixed our relationship in my 20s. And then at the end of 2018, I learned he was going to die. He was terminally ill, and it just sucked. So I actually made a decision to cut alcohol out of my life almost 5 years ago. Now I'm almost 5 years sober. So when the pandemic hit, I lived in a place called Pemberton, British Columbia, just outside Whistler. So in nature, town of 2,500, right in the mountains, like hiking trails and waterfalls out my door.
Oh, yeah.
I love it there. And so
I actually have a client in Whistler. That is.
Oh my God, we should talk and see if anyways. Okay. So anyways, I lived there. That's where I moved from, to Kamloops. And a lot of people just stayed at home drinking. Not me, because I'm sober. And so I hiked a lot. And what would happen was I would hike and I'd see a real cool looking bird. And then I would look it up. And then eventually that kept happening. And then I downloaded an app. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm a bird watcher. Like, even just yesterday, I saw the most beautiful bald eagle, and I pulled over and I was looking it up in my app. I'm like, oh, that is a bald eagle. And it was just slowly soaring and then sat on top of an evergreen tree. And it was just so beautiful and spiritual. And, in the matter of a very short period of time, I lost, my husband almost died. We miscarried. We lost my father-in-law, my mom, and my dad, all just in a couple year span. And certain times when I feel this like stillness and calmness, when something so beautiful happens, like a eagle soaring overhead and then slowly perching on a tree, I like to take that moment. But with birds, I also look up to see what it is, to make sure, like, I'm like, oh, and then I go down this whole path of like spiritual meaning of eagles. But that's a whole nother conversation, my spiritual awakening. But yeah, I got into bird watching because during the pandemic, like, I didn't sit at home and drink. Like, I was hiking. Like, that's what I did.
Yeah. There's a lot that nature can heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
There's a lot
actually,
that nature can heal.
maybe this is a conversation for future, but like I actually created this talk about the 5 secrets to strengthening your resilience muscle based on neuroscience. And nature is one of those secrets, getting outside and forest bathing. And there's just so many benefits to it. I think we live in this society where we like wake up, hit snooze, get up, quickly put our clothes on, rush out the door, work, come sit on the couch, run our kids around to things. I don't have kids, but
Yeah.
like a lot of people don't stop and take time to look around and recognize how beautiful the world is or do what they need to do to take care of themselves. And they put themselves last, but then something bad happens, like a parent dies or the husband almost dies or whatever. And their whole world's turned upside down. And there's these tools that you can have that in your kit. So when life gets hard, you can implement them. And like, they're so simple, like going outside into nature.
Yeah. And do you think it's possible that so many people that are in the midst of grief or they just don't know what those tools are?
Yeah. I mean, that was me.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some tools ahead of time that I didn't know were tools. Like I have a resilience practice. Everything I do is a resilience practice. I meant gratitude practice.
Yeah.
There's science behind like a specific way to practice gratitude. And, when something happens so suddenly or slow, like, it's happening and it's tragic, but it's like my dad was given 1.5 to 2 years and took 3 to die, or 3.5. Like it was crazy that he died after my mom. It was just, my mom learned she had cancer and died 3 weeks later. It was very intense. You don't think, how am I going to get through this? You're just trying to survive. But then it gets to a point in your grief where you just want to feel better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when you start to seek out what you can do.
Yeah. That's when you need the guidance. That's when you need the help, because you're seeking out, like, I want to get over this. I want to get through this. I want to get better. For sure.
And
Okay,
you don't have, like, I felt terrible for years. I mean, as soon as I started to recover from my mom dying, my dad died. So they died in the same year. I had trouble getting off my couch and going outside, but I still practiced my gratitude. I still did what I could, but like lying on the couch and ordering cookie dough blizzards to my face was how I got through it.
Yeah.
But I know going out, like I would go outside to my backyard and put my bare feet on the grass and look up at the clouds and go into the woods and go camping when I had the energy. And yeah.
Yeah. So I would say to everyone out there, your time is limited right now, from what I'm hearing Blair say. But she's still doing coaching. So if this is something where you just want to learn, you're like, I really just want to learn more about PR and I want to learn more about the steps and what I need to do. And I think we mentioned the social media empowerment pillars, right? So I'm assuming you teach those in your coaching.
Yeah. So right now I'm accepting private clients one-on-one, unless if you have a group of entrepreneurs, we can come up with something custom. But what we do is we go through the empowerment pillars and I learn about your goals and we build out a strategy and we work on it together. And, I've helped clients, like I've been on a billboard in Times Square. I have a TV show, a feature coming out on a new show. I've helped clients get on TV, like the Canadian version of Shark Tank is Dragon's Den. I help clients get on Dragon's Den and in Forbes and publications. And social media is part of the puzzle, but part of the empowerment pillars is publicity, which is being mentioned in the media. And so I work with you on building out that strategy and making it come to life.
Yeah, I like that, because there is that level where you just want to hire a PR company and have them take care of everything for you. So if you're that person, reach out to Blair. We're going to tell you all the places you can find her. And then as well, if you're just looking to learn, to be able to have her teach you how to be able to do that. And then you could even give that to your team to be able to execute. She can teach you that as well. So tell us, where's the best place for us to find you, connect with you? If you want someone to connect with you on social media and DM you, what is the best way that you find?
Yeah. So Blair Kaplan Venables on LinkedIn. You can go to my website, Blair Kaplan. So Kaplan with a K.ca. Shout out to Canada. And you know what? Instagram, I'm Blair from Blairland. So
yeah, that's awesome. There's so many women that are part of the LEAP community that I run. It's a business building community for women. We really focus on visibility. So everything we do is helping them build their digital footprint, on Google. And And I will tell you that when I joke around and say, oh, you guys, it's just like you guys are part of the United States because you're right there. And they're always like, no, we're not part of the United States. I'm like, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. It's just you're right there. Like I feel like you guys are part of us because it's just a little line.
We're your penthouse.
Yeah. That's how I see it. Yeah, it's beautiful up there. And Whistler, all those areas are gorgeous. I've been to Vancouver. I've been all up in that area. It's absolutely in Victoria, you name it. I love those areas. So we just did a Alaskan cruise not too long ago too. And I got to go back and see some more of the areas that I hadn't seen before. So Blair, thank you so much for being on the show today. The conversation really was amazing. You shared so much on just the tips of consistency, but giving information, right? Not selling yourself, but really consistently giving the information that people need, because that's how you become a thought leader. They're learning something from you. So for me, I'm a champion of women. There's a lot that I do that talks about not even just building your businesses, but how to get the visibility and how to champion other people to do that, and how we can share spotlights and so much that is available for us in working together. And Blair shared a lot of those tips today. So do you have your social media empowerment pillars built? Do you even know what they are? Have you defined them? Do you have a plan for this, 2024 on how you're going to be able to be seen, be heard, and be more visible? And that's what we're talking about today. And then on a side note, obviously, if you need to build resiliency with grief or anything you might be going through, I would say reach out to Blair for that as well. And you can learn more about her at blairkaplan.ca. Blair, thanks again for
Thank you so much.
Here. What book are you reading right now? Is it a bird watching book?
No, I just finished Tough Titties from Laura Belgray.
Nice.
And I'm just started Prozac Nation.
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of rotate between business and not business. So
that's great. It's great. I always love to know what books people are reading. It says a lot about them and kind of, what they love. And so thanks for sharing that with us. All right, ladies, you heard it here. You're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. So this is it. Like, why are you screwing around? Like, put on your big girl pants if you run a business and figure out how to create that visibility for yourself. And if you're still standing there saying, I hate social media, then you might want to just close everything down and walk away, because it's the same women that I hear say, I hate AI. It's here to stay. It's only going to advance. Everyone is going to be passing you by. And it is easier once people know who you are. Did you hear Blair say that in 95% of her business are referrals? Once people know who you are, it becomes easier, but you've got to get to that point. And how you do that is consistency. It's what we talked about today, especially with getting out there on social media. So Blair, thanks so much. And to all of you, until next time, be you and be strong. We'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery, where you learned the tools to create a life by design. Remember, you are the only you there is, and you are the only you that will ever be. Be you and be strong, because you are brilliant, and the world needs you at your best. We cannot wait for you to join us again next time.